I'll never talk about you guys.
Yeah, don't even mention us.
Who are you?
Don't even think about us. We are irrelevant. Please. Come on. This is the Dalla Show. It always has been. Anybody that thinks it's not is delusional.
It is more delusional than anything. Delusional.
Oh, God. All right.
Damn it.
We're out.
Bro.
No, that was very good.
Welcome to the JRPG Pursuit, a podcast about all things JRPGs, from the games we play to the games we collect. My name is Abdallah.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Branden.
And today we've got some fun topics for you guys. Or one topic.
We do.
Or multiple topics that we're going to...
It's fun enough for 3 topics, right?
Yeah.
So get excited.
It's going to be a little isolated. But honestly, yeah. So for real, like today we're going to be talking about what games we would find ourselves bringing to a desert island, for our own reasons. We'll discuss the reasons why we want each of those games and whatnot. We've all picked out like a few games or so, each that we'll like to talk about. And just kind of go over, what are the key elements of these games that we would want to keep playing over and over again? Or is it something tied to replayability, whatever it might be? But
I think that's what it's about, really, is replayability. Because if you're thinking the fanciful situation of being stranded on a desert island, like you're going to be doing the same stuff over and over every day. So what games are going to, ease that burden the most?
Speaking of ease, you could be Abdallah being getting stuck on an island as per usual.
Speaking of ease, it seems like I set that up, but it was not planned.
No. I was gonna say something along the line of Abdallah, and then you said ease, and I was like, oh my God, was he thinking of it? Was he also being just as cheesy? With the easy?
No, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. No,
easy.
It just comes naturally.
Right.
You didn't even have to try.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It just comes out sometimes.
And I'm sorry for what I just said.
No.
Cheesy with the easy, that was bad.
That's even better.
I have regrets in life, and that was probably...
You have a good excuse, though.
Look, yeah, right.
I'm still...
You're stricken with the plague, all week.
Yeah, I've been sick since last recording.
Yeah, easily. Like you were starting to get sick before that, and then all the way through.
So
I don't know.
It's been.
I just want to say easy with the cheesy. Like my respect for you. If it was here, it's here now. Okay, it's gone up.
All right.
So don't worry.
Yeah. Easy with the cheesy. Lemon squeezy. Well, I'll say something dumb now.
All right.
So you don't feel ashamed.
So this is what I've done. I've devolved this podcast into just pure madness based off of, what is left over of my brain cells after being like cooked for a week.
Oh, man.
Good times. But
anyway, replayable games.
Yeah.
Games we like to revisit for one reason or another.
Yeah, there's a lot. So like, is there anything you wanted to bring up, as we lead into that topic? Like, is there anything you want to preface or anything?
Oh, I did want to say that this topic was brought to us by friend of the show and friend of me and wife of me, Jen. She's the one who suggested this topic. Yep. We are very appreciative of that. If you are interested in becoming a member of the YouTube channel, you can join the Discord and you can share suggestions there as well. Not to mention, if you are a Pursuer member, you get access to the after show, which we do every week. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of crazy fun there. And it usually gets raunchy and weird because we're just that kind of people. We're just weird.
I'm sure it'll be even weirder this episode.
We're coming in with some weird energy. So
it's going to get weird today. I'm not going to lie to you.
So what games do you guys like to think of when it comes to this replayability topic? Is it ones that have multiple routes, or ones that you just see yourself time and time again replaying, or ones you've actually already played in the past that you could continue doing on?
For me, because I feel like we were in a standoff there. It was like
I was going to see who's going to go first.
We're going to see who's going to pull. I'll draw. for me, like the route, like different routes is a good thought. I don't like when I play most games, I just usually pick a route and I do it. And then I'm kind of done with the game, even if there's multiple routes.
Yeah.
Now, if I was on a desert island, like this was truly a situation where I had nothing else to play, I'm sure I would find more enjoyment out of that because it's like, oh, here's some new stuff that I hadn't seen. But I was thinking for myself, it was much more along the lines of like comfort games that I find myself revisiting just for the experience of playing them again. So, I mean, the first one I put was Chrono Trigger. Obviously, like
someone's got to do it.
That's my baby blanket of a game.
What's your tally
right?
of how many times you replayed it?
That's a great question. I couldn't tell you. Like it, especially if you count New Game Plus runs, like those become so easy. You can do them so quickly that I'm sure I have blown through the game like dozens of times. So, Chrono Trigger, just beautiful, classic, wonderful experience. There's a reason that it's held in such high esteem. And some of that can be attributed to nostalgia, sure, but not all of it. I just don't think all of it can be attributed to nostalgia. So, yeah, how do you guys feel about just like those nostalgic games? Like, do you get a lot of enjoyment out of revisiting those?
Too much enjoyment. It's the fact that it's detriment to my backlog.
It does hurt a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, I'm currently like going through a little bit of a conundrum with that. As well as I play through some games. So I play through a game or two or plan to go through some games. But like nostalgia it also, cause like if you think about it, you're on this desert island. And it's like, think about the situation. You're most likely not there, out of your own free will, usually. Like in the concept of this, like
right.
When people ask you this thing, what would you take to a desert island, or you're stuck there.
Right.
So you want that probably comfort for days that you're just not doing too well with. And like the fact that like with Chrono Trigger, especially, like even if you're not playing the game, I would just have it play in the background and just listen to the music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like
just listen to music.
That in itself is good. That's hours of fun for me.
Do you guys watch Let's Plays of other people? Of like games you've beaten?
Yeah. Especially maybe this, I don't know what this says about me, but especially like the Souls games. I'll always play and beat a Souls game the first time. And then I really like watching people just like play it, whether they're experts or not. Like it's just a lot of.
I love it when they're not experts.
Yeah. That can be funny.
This is funny, but.
That can be funny. Yeah. But yeah, also older JRPGs. I've spent some time watching people play those, and it is really interesting seeing like especially younger people playing some of these games for the first time that are like that they weren't born when it came out, and like that's a cool experience to kind of see that happen.
Yeah, through their eyes.
Yeah
because
they're if you were born the year that Chrono Trigger came out, you are 30 now.
Yep. That'd be my brother.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, so you are very able, like, you are you're probably the prime age to be like exploring the back catalog of video game history. So, there's a lot of good ones back there. The nice thing is you have like all of the writing on the internet to tell you which ones are worth checking out and which ones you probably don't want to.
Yeah, they're all vetted for you.
Yeah, and you have like millions of GameFAQ walkthroughs
you're never going to get stuck.
Like to help you get through anything and everything that you might not be able to find out, because those older games were definitely a little obtuse with how they did things. So
by design sometimes.
Oh yeah.
By design, exactly.
How does
this is interesting hearing you guys talk about replaying nostalgic games, because for me, I actually can't recall that many games I've replayed for that purpose.
Okay.
So because I feel like whenever I would replay a game, it was when I was younger, and because I didn't have that many new games to play. So I had to replay my older games because that's what I had. A prime example of this was Pokemon Silver. Like I replayed that game a ton.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that many Game Boy Colors or Game Boy games growing up.
So it was a necessity thing.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a necessity, but I enjoyed it. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to, take away from that factor at all. But more recently, I've replayed the Cold Steel arc in preparation for Trails into Reverie, but that was only a one-time thing. And I also replayed those on a newer kind of upgraded system. So instead of on the Vita and the PS4 for 3 and 4, I played it on the PS4 for 1 and 2, and then PS5 for 3 and 4.
Okay.
So that was a little bit of a new coat of paint, if you will, when I was replaying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also played Cold Steel 3 and 4 again on the PlayStation 5. And do you recall like what did they just up the frame rate? Do you know what they did to that?
It went 4K as well, I think, right?
4K.
Yeah, which I wouldn't have noticed much.
No, you won't really
the difference with that, but
Sure.
I think a lot of the loading times were much quicker.
Okay.
I think there was a little bit of a change in some of the, I think, audio too enhancements. And there's the DLC was all available to you. Like you didn't have to buy it. So that was fun to play with too.
All the costumes,
the costumes.
and whatnot. Yeah. The shiny packs and stuff.
Yeah, they're just fun. Like I think I had Rain sporting like the leopard, like ears and tail, just because for funsies.
I mean, why not at that point?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're replaying it anyways.
Right?
That's usually the fun of replaying
Mix
those
it up.
games is like
exactly.
Put them in whatever.
Yeah. The Trails games. I'll just put this out here now. I put the entire Trails series on my list, and I have a feeling there's going to be some pushback on that because that's not
a desert
game.
island pick.
Yeah,
it's my desert
it's
island pick. Is all
much.
of the Trails games. Is that fair to say?
Excessive, maybe.
I mean,
yeah. I'm thinking about it from the perspective of the boy who has literally done like replayed them over and over and over and over. So I know that I could do that.
Oh
like
yeah,
I could sustain myself on playing through those games over and over and over. So
the only issue though is you have to play them on different systems. They're not all on the same system.
Right. Well, I think you can
true.
get them all on Steam now, right? So just get them all on the Steam Deck. And then I've got my experience.
Technically,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
And hope that there's a Wi-Fi connection so you can play them.
So that was a question I had about this desert island thing. If we can choose any game, if we're saying we could choose any game,
that's true.
To play on a desert island, we're stranded on a desert island. I would choose an MMO.
Like, it's like house sitting.
MMO.
You're house sitting a desert.
An MMO.
Or desert island.
Yeah, I would choose an MMO so that I could ask for help. I would be like, "Hey, I'm stranded on a desert island."
Well, the whole point of it
would be
is
like, they'd be like, "That's funny, bro," and I'd be like, "No, I'm serious. I need help. Please send someone." And hopefully, I'd get through to somebody at some point.
Convince someone it's actually real.
That this is real.
Real
Please
cry for help.
Please help me.
Well, I feel like the whole premise of this desert island is that you can't
You have
get
a
off
restriction.
this. Yeah, like you have restrictions. Like you can't get off of it. And I think the idea of I know in your heart of hearts you want Olive Trails, and in my heart of hearts I would want Olive Trails because that's thousands of hours of just time that you can put into it. But like that goes against like that's like 15, 16 games of
And counting.
and counting.
And counting. Sure. I'd like each new one delivered to the desert island as well.
Which defeats
I
the
think
purpose.
Okay, all right,
of,
that's
like,
fair.
Limiting yourself of like, all right, what do you bring to a desert island? Like
Of the thought, yeah, it does defeat the purpose of the thought experiment, I guess. Okay, so if I was to pick a Trails game, let me think, a Trails game to play over and over, maybe it would be Cold Steel 3. Maybe.
interesting.
You did say that was your favorite Trails game at one point.
I did mention that as my favorite. I don't know if it still is, but as far as replayability, I've only played Daybreak, which I may be my favorite now, but I've only played it once, so I want to replay it and give it the same treatment I've given the others before I
feel like when it comes to replayability, Reverie is maybe the most replayable from a combat standpoint because then you can play with all the characters up to that point.
True, and you get the Reverie corridor, and that's randomly generated, right?
Yeah. Though, can you reset that? I guess you could reset it.
It keeps,
and then just keep doing it
just
over and over again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you were interested in
the main story is not that long.
grinding.
I think it took me 45 hours to beat, but
Yeah. So that's actually a good idea. Maybe I'll say Reverie. It's between Cold Steel 3 and Reverie. I'll give it some thought, but that hurts that I
It's
can't
hard
take them
to choose.
all, but
We might get. I'll be generous enough
I would
to
have
maybe
told
give
you
you
an arc would be okay.
Yeah, like I would say an arc maybe.
okay.
Because like,
I mean,
because they do make those fancy packages in Japan where
you can get them all together.
it's also just
right?
like
have it all in a box set.
It would be mean to just be like, all right,
Cut you off. Yeah.
like you only get one game from an arc.
Especially for 3, like Cold Steel 3, that ending there.
Yeah.
Do you want to be like in an endless loop of that ending? I don't know.
It does sound like some purgatory stuff going on there.
It does. It does. I would not. Yeah, I wouldn't wish that upon you. So I'll be lenient enough for that for you.
I guess I do. I mean, I do know what happened, so it's not quite the same as when that cliffhanger happened the first time, and I was like, oh.
When you have like you're like Abdallah or something, or someone who's suffering from amnesia, and so when you go on the desert island,
so I wake up and it's like a new.
You wake up like, oh man,
experience.
It's a good thing I brought these specific games.
It's a good thing I have Cold Steel 3. What could possibly go wrong?
What if you lose your memories and you're not into like? What if like the new version of you just doesn't want to play any games?
I never thought about that. If our since our you can make the argument that our memories
like
define ourselves.
What if that happens?
Then the new Branden is like all about survival. He's like, let's find the coconuts, let's hunt the small fish and other wildlife. Yeah, the survival RPG of trying not to die on an island.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do well. I'll be honest with you. Wouldn't do well. I'm a pampered little baby boy. That's all there is to it.
He needs his fancy treats.
I need my fancy treats. Give me
I need my
treat.
chocolate. I don't think you can get chocolate easily on an island.
Yeah, you'd have to do a lot of processing, even if you had access to cacao.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Wouldn't be easy.
Sugar cane around.
Right.
But yeah.
Create it. Yeah.
I could jump into another game, I think.
Another thought? Yeah.
Another thought process. And that was kind of a bit of I'd say it's a mixture of nostalgia and replayability for me. And that is Legend of Mana.
Okay.
And I know people out there are probably going to be like, Legend of Mana, the worst of the mana? Or not the worst. Dawn of Mana is the worst of the manas.
No, I was going to say, I don't know how many people make that argument, but it's not as well regarded.
Yeah, it's not as well,
it's no secret
like
mana.
it. Yeah, it's no... Right. But honestly, I think Legend of Mana is one of my favorite mana games. Because it does have a sense of replayability. I mean, it's not like extreme replayability where you can get really a truly new way of playing every time, but you can always kind of you start the game off, you can place your home base in different places on the map, and based on where you place it kind of changes how you can kind of further build out your world. And it kind of forces you into different scenarios and stuff like that of how you play it. Also, you can get a lot of different kind of pets. Some of them can be even chocobos. So depending on if you had a save for Final Fantasy VIII on your PS1 memory card, and you played Legend of Mana, whenever you went to breed and create pets, you would get a chocobo.
Oh, was this an open secret, or did you have to subscribe to Game Informer to know it?
I think I came across it randomly because I had Final Fantasy VIII and I did play Legend of Mana, so I got a chocobo, and then my other friend was like, "Where'd you get a chocobo? How did that happen?" And so I ended up trying to look it up at the time, going where do I why how did that happen?
On the ancient internet,
on the ancient internet
page with
green
so
a game fact or
somewhere
somebody was mentioned it somewhere in one of the game fact forums or something like that at the time, or at some point I found it somewhere, and I learned that you had to have a save for that, and so
I miss games doing that, the interconnectivity of stuff,
or little cheat codes, they were just included and then you play them.
Konami did that. I remember
little mystery gifts in Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah. The Metal Gear Solid thing blew my mind when you're playing Metal Gear Solid they start talking about all these other games when they're reading your mind or whatever, just really cool stuff. And it's that stuff doesn't happen anymore. I don't know if it's a technical limitation or if it's just a gimmick that they got tired of or what.
It's not the same.
Just lack creativity.
Yeah, because so many people have
to that kind of
Sure. Yeah. Everyone has saves to everything nowadays. It's less like back then, like you were very like, because you only had so many save, like you can only fit so
like
many saves
15
on a memory
slots or
card.
whatever on a.
So like you were very like particular about like what games you played and what game you saved and stuff like that. And like maybe you had multiple memory cards. So like depending on which memory card you were using, you'd have different experiences like based off of like that.
I could think of a new game that did that. I think one of the more recent Pokemon games, if you had a save file for Let's Go series, and also maybe
I think
one of the other games, I think then you could get like a Mew or something when you're playing like Brilliant Diamond. And,
I did get.
so I did that, and I actually didn't have Let's Go Eevee or any of those. I think I borrowed my brother's girlfriend's, so I could just do a quick save, and then because I wanted Mew during my playthrough.
Yeah, because I had Let's Go Eevee, and I remember I have like all the most of the Pokemon. I think all the Pokemon games for this like Switch generation.
Yeah.
And so I played them. So yeah, but I remember when that Brilliant Diamond came out, I did get that extra bit, which is kind of cool.
Weird? Is it strange
it's like
that
the new mystery gift?
Yeah.
The only Pokemon game I've played is Let's Go Eevee. Is that odd?
Oh, I mean,
is that odd?
A baby's first Pokemon?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
not. Yeah, it's
maybe for your age, but
it's like nostalgic in the most baby way possible.
Yeah, I guess it would be. Yeah, because I to be frank, I reviewed it for Anime News Network, so that's how I ended up with it.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. It did feel a little simplistic, but I kind of knew what I was getting into. So
it was fun though. It was like I think really an emphasis on the catching, like the catching mechanic. If you did the whole, the whatever they called that controller.
The Pokeball thing.
And then coming out of the craze of like Pokemon Go, because I was like, it came out right after the craze.
There was connectivity with that game. You could like import stuff or whatever.
And it had the same kind of concept of like, oh, like you're kind of throwing and catching Pokemon. So like it kind of just piggybacked off of that. And it was fun. And it was fun to see like the like Johto, was it Johto region or Kanto region, right?
It was Kanto.
Yeah, Kanto's the original one. Yeah, Kanto. Seeing the Kanto region in like 3D and walking around and doing all those things. So it was kind of fun to kind of play through that. It was a very nostalgic like look into that world.
I think it was perfect for parents who grew up with those games and then they wanted to show it to their kids.
Yeah,
that checks out. Yeah. Generationally, that
unfortunately it doesn't apply to me, but
right.
Yeah, but to go back to Legend of Mana.
Pokemon, right? Legend of Mana, go.
Legend of Mana, but Pokemon's also replayable. It's fun.
Sure.
I mentioned Silver, but you played so many times.
Honestly, it's actually a perfect game series to be stuck on, because you can put yourself into Nuzlocke situations and like
do the Nuzlocks,
do all the different types of things.
Teams, all the challenges.
For Legend of Mana, like for me, also the music of Legend of Mana, we talked about it before in multiple episodes.
Shimamura, baby.
Shimamura.
Right?
That's in itself is something I would just sit back and relax and listen to Legend of Mana like songs, just the soundtrack to that, as well as like the way the story, like the game takes place. It's a lot of like little vignettes of stories that you're kind of listening in on and learning about and like experiencing from each of the different like characters throughout the world of Legend of Mana. And like I thought it's kind of like a little like storybook, and it feels kind of cozy in a way. To kind of go
and
through
it's
that.
Beautiful too. Like it's got that really kind of like a watercolor type aesthetic. Is it watercolor? I'm trying to remember.
It is kind of it's a watercolor like style.
It's very painterly style
yeah.
for the world, which is cool because, you know, growing up 16-bit, everything was, you know, I'm nostalgic for the 16-bit graphics and everything, but that's all like pixel tile sets. You know, they're not doing hand painted, gorgeous pictures for those games. And to see like a game that has that, especially when so many games were going like pre-rendered 3D backgrounds, like having like a hand painted look was really cool.
Exactly. And that between that and like the battle system isn't like very deep. And I think that goes to show with most Mana games, they're not generally a very deep battle system. But you do get to choose lots of different types of weapons and how you start off with and how you want to grow, and you can change like your types of like special moves and how you want to match them up with other different special moves and combos. So you can mix and match and play the game differently each and every time. It's not like extensively different every time, but it's enough to kind of warrant maybe playing multiple times. So I figured it would be like a fun, cozy choice to be stuck.
For sure. I did want to pose something to you guys, though.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Concerning Western versus JRPGs.
Okay.
I do feel like the customization features of Western RPGs, they tend to lean more towards the replayability factor than JRPGs, which are more story focused. And once you kind of finish the story, it's maybe more difficult to go back to some of those unless you have ties or nostalgic feelings for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I would say for me, right now I've been replaying Witcher 3, which is more along the lines of like, very story focused Western RPG and less customization. But for some reason, I just feel just inspired to just replay it. I am replaying it on a different system, so maybe that's helping it. But there's just something about Western kind of RPG storytelling that I think just lends itself a little bit easier for the replayability factor.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
Yeah, speaking of The Witcher 3, I just bought that. I got it on Steam, so I probably need to give that a chance here.
You should play it. It's fun.
You should.
So,
it is
no,
great.
you're 100% right. Like, Western RPGs are so flexible in how they tell their stories. Like, I could play, Fallout 3 or 4, New Vegas, whatever, over and over and over and just do completely different things every time. And it's not just like the story that's changing. I mean, the broad story is similar, but like the way it plays out can be different. But like the moment to moment, the moment to moment gameplay and interactions are all different. Yeah. If I'm a stealth sneaking around
perfect
guy,
for that too.
Baldur's Gate,
oh, man,
totally. I think that's
and then also
kind of like
the focus on how you build your character, right? You can do a different weapon set or something like that to switch it up.
And that's also what makes the like the JRPG replayability topic more challenging, because for the most part, you don't have that level
I think
of
the built-in routes, though.
The routes
is kind of how they went into that.
So talk a little more about that. That's interesting.
Because I don't really see, or because there's usually limitations, right, of what the main character is. Like maybe you could choose like a class or something or job system for some JRPGs, but for the most part, right, the story structure is very linear for most JRPGs in the broader sense. But when they introduce different routes, they're still doing those linear paths, but it's introducing something where you have to replay it to get the whole picture, the whole story. Yeah. And some games, you have to play all the routes, right, to get the whole context, and maybe there's a bigger payoff at the end. But Branden, like you were mentioning at the beginning of the podcast, how there's just so many JRPGs that do have those multiple routes, but usually you just maybe stick to the canon route and then you're kind of done. Which unfortunately I've done that too, because the replaying routes, I do feel that a little bit more taxing or tiring, where I don't want to do it back to back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Without a buffer, it's a little bit tricky.
Yes, and then it's hard to go back once because you want to. There's all these other games to play, right?
So many video games, right?
So difficult.
I wish that concept existed when we were kids.
Yes,
Yes. If we were like 10 years old and had Fire Emblem 3 houses, and there's like 4 routes to play through, or 5. How many routes are there? 4.5.
Would have blown me away as a kid.
Golden Deer kind of branches off, but anyway, that would have been so cool. I just like as much as I already replayed the same games over and over, like to be able to replay them and have different stuff happen.
Yeah.
That would be that would have blown my little mind.
I know.
Little dumb mind.
I know. It's wasted on
us
old folk now.
Don't have time.
And I have like a stack of games I need to replay. Like Fire Emblem 3 House is one of them. I haven't done all the routes yet. I also haven't done all the routes for Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked yet. And the second game.
Yeah.
There's so many. And then Ys Origin too. I don't think I've played technically the last route. So I need to go back.
Well, that's important because that's the canon route.
I know. That's the key one.
Oh, you did.
I know. Like I started it. I did most of it. I just need to do the last one.
I thought it was a strange choice that they lock the canon route behind the 2 other routes.
That's so weird.
It's
kind of forcing
I'm talking about with the the easy difficulty, right? Like Final Fantasy 16, they locked the fantasy mode after you beat the game.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're just doing this by design to stretch out the length of their games, which seems a little bit unnecessary this day and age, especially when there's just so much variety and competition, frankly, for our time.
I agree with that, but I think the reason they do it is because the meta, like the conversation around games is so much like time spent per dollar or whatever.
Yes.
And if they can say, well, to get the full experience of our game, you need to play it for 250 hours.
So much bang for your buck there.
That's so great,
Sounds like hell.
someone like us might play it one time. Sounds awful. What are you talking about? But for some people, that's just like that's what they're all about.
Like for some games, maybe it makes sense. Like I know Trails has this, right? Where there are different things that open up when you play on New Game Plus. I haven't done that personally, and you don't have to do that to enjoy them. But there is that option for those who replay their games.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I like it when it's an option, but not necessity, to enjoy the full story or the real ending.
There's a couple times that Trails has done sort of that thing that bugged me. The Black Records in Cold Steel 2 only being accessible in New Game Plus. It's like, that's canon. Like
I know.
Why did you put a barrier there?
They start Cold Steel 3 with the assumption that you have done that. And it's like the first time I played Cold Steel 2, I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it either. So it was years later I went back and replayed it after I had learned that you needed to do that. So it's like I would have
actually read them.
Yeah.
I wasn't reading all the books back then.
Yeah, I have a hard time reading all the books. I like it when they print them and put them in the collector's editions because then I read them.
Oh yeah.
Then I read them.
Well, the one in Reverie was wonderful.
Yeah.
I think really enriched that story to read it. But I don't think everyone, maybe they didn't get the collector's edition. They didn't know you should probably read that book. That was in Cold Steel 4 before playing this game.
Yeah.
That's true.
We should do a giveaway at some point on the channel. I've got all of the Trails into Reverie material that came with the collector's edition, and it's like they're fine, like the materials themselves are fine, but the box got shredded in the mail.
Yeah,
I should give those away because they're just sitting. I've got I bought the one extra one you had from you, so it's like I got these things sitting here. I should just give them away. We'll talk about it.
Give that book a new home.
Yeah,
exactly.
Somebody physical media, not just the video games, but books too.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe we'll bring it to some place where we're in person and we can do a giveaway there or something. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun, yeah.
But so anyway, the different routes, the SMT games, like you said, those are pretty big in the space.
When they do when they re-release the game, right, with the new route on it. I don't know. It's just I'm wondering, because we see this so much in JRPGs in Japan, how often do players replay their games? And is that something they request?
Yeah.
Because it does seem kind of baked into the cake there.
It does, right? You get Persona 5 Royal, where it's like Persona 5 is already the longest game that was ever, like, it's so long. And then
they're like, let's add more.
But what if?
You get to replay it.
You replayed all that you already played.
And then you get the new stuff.
And then you get some new stuff too. At least with Royal, I thought it was good that they mixed in new stuff throughout the game.
Yeah.
And then you got the full all the rest of the new stuff after you beat the main game. So that made the replay a little better. But I had just played Persona 5 a couple of years before Royal, and it was, anyway. I wonder if that's a good question. If that's something Japanese players prefer, is like,
I'm not too sure.
Getting new routes,
because they've been keeping that in their their method.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just Atlas that does that for the most part? Are there other companies that do it?
I mean,
Atlas does it at least like very egregiously.
And now with Ease 10.
Ease 10.
So I don't know if that's going to become a thing with
Well, we don't know if that's going to be a DLC, maybe.
Right.
Where
they may make that.
Played the main game, then you could.
That's true. We don't know details on that yet.
Stuff.
And that just sounds like new content, not necessarily like an entirely new route to the game, right?
True.
Like it's just like a new
it's
island.
Unclear. What to expect from that.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of other.
Yeah, of all the lessons.
Like Falcom's done that before with like Tokyo Xanadu, they had the EX Plus version, East
True.
8, right? When it came from the Vita onto the PS4, they added stuff.
Did Radiant Historia add a new route?
Yes.
There was a
Perfect
third route
chronology.
there.
Okay. For perfect. Okay.
And then a lot of other stuff they added to like voice acting and new art and
New
stuff
character
like that.
art. Yeah.
Okay. So it's done enough that there must be some, like, I don't know, maybe it is popular enough there in Japan that it warrants them to think about it.
So I guess Atlas Games would be good on a desert island sort of situation because
Sounds like it.
lots of routes, and if they could FedEx, the updated version of the game when it comes out, because that's how we got to the island in the first place. I'm assuming we're doing Castaway rules.
I like the idea of we're babysitting an island.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Okay, so we're going.
So we have all the
there.
amenities and internet to our disposal.
Oh,
We're
okay.
going there.
For house sitting an island.
A house sitting on an island.
Yours
That's
is
how I was
less.
thinking it.
Yeah, yours is less traumatic. I do like that.
I thought we were going to be sitting around with like a Wilson.
Yeah,
Just
like our little
losing our mind.
volleyball
Little
friend.
volleyball.
Yeah. That movie, man, made me care about a volleyball.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant director.
That kind of traumatized me as a child when I watched that.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
It taught me the beauty of ambiguity, because that ending so ambiguous.
Yeah.
It really is.
But
So good though.
this
Such a
is
good movie.
this is now a Castaway podcast. Let's talk about Castaway.
Last time it was Lost. Either way,
It's all about
here,
being
obviously.
it's all about
desert island.
it's all about being stranded.
I didn't make that connection, but yeah, we have. I guess it's the dead of winter, at least here in the Midwest, where Dalla and I are, and we just want to be free of it. It's so
true.
cold.
It's nice when it's
so
sunny
cold
out.
out.
You got a
yeah.
beach nearby.
It is so gray. It is gray. Just
Yeah, it's depressing.
sadness.
But at least the groundhog saw its shadow today, so we have 6 more weeks of winter to look forward to.
Yes.
Well,
There you go.
things are looking up.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Maybe.
I hope so.
But
Yeah, I don't know.
anyways, I guess we should have a theme now where we kind of allude to what the next topic's going to be, even though we don't know it.
It's true. We probably alluded already to it. Who knows what it's actually going to end up
Who
being.
knows?
We don't even know. That's how deeply encoded
Future
it is.
us will deal with that in the podcast next time.
Yeah.
But until then, so Emily, yours was yours Witcher 3?
For replayability?
You used
what do
Witcher
you
3
use?
as a...
We did get
I
kind
use
of off
that
track,
as an
didn't we?
example.
I was trying to remember because like you started with that was an example, and I was like trying to.
That was my example of a Western
Western.
take, even though
Western,
it's
okay.
like linear, like JRPGs in a sense.
Okay.
Even though it's an open world, of course, but like the story progression things is a little bit linear. There's not too much choice other than some like romance routes, which is like a JRPG.
Okay.
I just found that a lot more enjoyable to replay than some of my other games I played in the past that are on my shelves,
100%.
which kind of does also make me question why I collect games. I'm never going to replay them again. Who knows? Another thought for another day.
Yeah.
But I wanted to.
And there's next
also
week's
mention-
topic.
There you go.
There it
Found
is.
it.
There it is. Are we fake
guys.
gamers?
We
Are
are.
we fake collectors?
Fake collectors.
Obviously, we're fake collectors. Duh.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Go on, Emily. Sorry.
But when it comes to replayability, I don't usually gravitate again towards the multiple routes in JRPGs, but I do like games I really have fond memories of that are huge and just so explorative. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has kind of always been my pick of the desert island game to bring with me because there's just so much content in that game, so many characters and quest lines, and a lot of, just plenty of boss challenges, just so much stuff to do. I actually haven't 100%ed it yet. Like I've put in like, I want to say at least 130 hours by now in that game.
Yeah.
And there's still more to do. And I wouldn't mind replaying it from the beginning again if it's going to be like on the Switch 2 or something, and in higher
If they
definition.
optimize it, yes. If
Exactly.
they optimize it, I would
yeah.
gladly play it again.
I would be very
I'd
tempted.
play through all of them, honestly. Again.
I was thinking the same thing.
yes.
Like, I need to go back through all of them again. I played them in quick succession. I'd like to, let it savor it a little more.
Yeah, they're games worth savoring for sure.
Exactly. And I think with like, especially with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, what makes it interesting is that you have like that gotcha mechanic, which is it's a double-edged it's a double-edged blade there where it's like annoying sometimes.
In the beginning, yes.
Where you're trying to get like, for me, I was like, I want freaking Cosmos. Give me Cosmos. Just
give me Cosmos.
She was the
please.
hardest to get. I didn't get her until I got like the extra downloads core crystals from the DLC pack.
I never got her in my initial playthrough, and I was the saddest boy.
Did you get Telos? Did you get Telos?
I did get Telos.
Okay,
but I did not.
Easier,
I didn't get Cosmos, and so like I've been wanting to like at some point I want to replay it, and I want like I need it.
Yeah, that's motivation. Try to get her.
So
and just farm for those core crystals.
I know. So, but if you're like stuck on a desert island, then you could just spend eternity just doing that stuff.
Just get them all.
Get everything. But yeah, I agree. That's a damn good game.
It's so good.
It is.
It's so good.
This is one of those that like I don't understand the hate for. Like some people like. It's one thing, somebody's like, it's not my favorite or whatever, fine, I get that. But like some people hate it. And I'm like, really? Like I liked it even more than the first one. Like some people hold up the first one as like the best thing ever. And I think the first one's good, but like I like the second one so much more, like immensely more. I don't know. What's wrong with me? I
like them for different reasons, but definitely I think 2 is the one that shines for me, even compared to 3 now. Like I still think about 2 to this day. But I think when it comes to, I guess we'll dive a little off topic here, but I think when it comes to people being very negative about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think a lot of it is people come in with very high expectations because of how much, people like us praise it. Mm-hmm. And if they've never played Xenoblade before, or they're making too many comparisons to the first game, they might not, adjust to it as fast as they would hope. Yeah. Because especially with the combat system,
it is complicated.
I know it's very complicated, and not everyone likes that style of combat, which is fine.
And
I would like to replay it and understand it. That's like the thing I'm most excited to replay it for is like, I'm going to learn how to play it actually this time.
I can help you.
That would be good. I would appreciate it because I did not ever learn how to play it.
And one thing about I think Chronicles 2,
I did. Think it's still better
that's a testament to the game is I did not know what I was doing, but I still had a great time.
And I think coming out of like, let's say if you played Xenoblade Chronicles, the original one, and then you played, let's say, Chronicles X on the Wii U, and then you're jumping into this one, or you're a new person jumping into this one, and you've heard of those other ones. Like this one does get a little, lack of a better word, weeby.
Sure.
In how it does, sure. And you know what, we love that stuff, which is fun. It's awesome.
We're weebs, so I guess
exactly.
I wasn't sensitive to it at all.
Like, it didn't bother me,
but
I acknowledge it. Yeah,
but I can acknowledge the fact that like. It does it lays on the to reference our last episode, it lays a lot on anime tropes that can be a little bit more, in
your face.
In your face, can be a little like jarring in terms of like some like perverted behaviors and things like that like they'll throw in little jokes, like things that you're noticing.
I don't think there was that many though.
Not many,
especially in the beginning. I don't recall that many.
No, it just happens. There's
enough. Like maybe 3 scenes I could think of in the like whole 130-hour game.
Oh yeah, like it doesn't happen often, but they do like give off that like feel of the game, and like I can see people who are just like they just do not like that. Will not like
also,
that. Like,
might be a little bit of a detriment because of Rex looking so young, and then he has these adult women who, accompany him.
Are just also
people
just
are just
love him.
Eyebrow lifted.
Just love
from the beginning.
I mean, love him enough that you saw Chronicles 3, so
he's got it going on. He's the man. He's the Chad.
He's the Chad. He should have been called Chad, not Rex.
Yeah.
He should have been.
Or we should have made Rex the word we use for that term.
It's true. Yeah, instead of Chad,
the Rex of it all.
That's true.
The Rex of it all. But yeah, no, you're right. I did think he was a child. I'm guessing
he was a bit.
Is not,
or he was a child.
Was he? I don't know how old he was supposed to be.
There was a bit of a coming to age story with him.
Yeah.
In Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I thought they handled that very well. And if you stuck through it and you just have your bias overshadowing it in the early hours of the game, then I don't know. I liked his journey a lot.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of people got stuck in the middle too, just because there is it does have that like
the field
drag
stuff is annoying
in the middle,
and if you didn't do the gacha mechanic to pull the right type of blades, then you're gonna get stuck at the fields,
it's not easy
places.
This guy got stuck.
Yep, it gets really like the difficulty level gets spikes, and if you're not following the right mechanics, you get really
I think a lot of people just didn't learn the mechanics.
Yeah,
and they got frustrated. I don't know if that's a user error or they could have done a better job at the tutorials. They definitely could have done a better job at tutorials. I think at the beginning, I could see why they piecemealed it in like the first 5 chapters.
Yeah, it's both, right? Like I could have paid more attention to it. I'm just not used to paying as much attention.
I think
to them.
that is something that modern players have, right? We always kind of like zoom through. Okay, we'll get it, but when we encounter like a roadblock, like wait, actually, I don't get it.
Yeah. Right. It's because like usually
reference back to those tutorials, right?
Especially with like Xenoblade,
helping you.
Like the mechanics are very specific, and so like if you don't learn them offhand, like how you're doing it, and then you're just going to completely do them wrong, and then you're going to get into the wrong motion, because it's all very timed situations and how you like want to balance all these different like mechanics at once. So if you like don't
it's multi-dimensional thinking.
Exactly. So like,
I know not everyone likes to do, if you want to have your brain turned off and just battle stuff, it doesn't appeal to everyone. I can understand why.
Yeah. But I do agree. All hands down, like I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 would be a fun game to be stuck with. Just with the amount of replayability I think that game has.
Yes.
The last one on my list is about as different from that as it could possibly be. Stardew Valley. And I put Stardew Valley on my list because I think I've spent maybe 45 hours with it. I haven't spent an inordinate amount of time, but I do like the concept of a game that is just kind of open and ongoing. I can just keep building up my farm, go through the year. There's like, yearly things that happen. So like festivals or whatever. So you get these things that mark your passage through the game. And always, can always just start a new farm. And they have so many different farm types on there now that you can load up. I think that sort of game, like with a lot of just options and openness to it, is appealing for like that sort of desert island thing.
And it's remarkable like how much they've added to that game. Concerned Ape, like over the years, there's co-op mode and
that's true.
So much content.
So you can play online.
Good.
And you can make like little messages in your farm that says SOS.
No, I've changed my thinking to now I'm babysitting the island. That's what I'm doing. Doing the house sitting.
Better,
I like
right?
that better. I like that better. I could do it if I wanted to.
If we were stuck, in a more serious situation, playing a game like Stardew Valley, where a lot of it's survival, right? Because you need to have crops and have enough money to like survive in that world and make sure your homestead or whatever is, proper. Like it would just make me think, why am I not doing this on this island? Like, why am I not
this in real life?
No, that's 100% accurate. Like,
why am I like playing this game when I should be thinking more productive thoughts of why I'm here and how do I survive?
Maybe it would give me ideas of how to survive. I'd be like, I should try planting seeds. Oh, I should try, I don't know, taking a pickaxe and going into this cave and getting eaten by a bear or
Mine
something.
for gold, which we can't sell anywhere, but maybe you can make pretty things.
Can just hoard. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah. No, that's true. So that's why, that's a good idea to think of it as just we're here voluntarily.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm trying to think of other games like that where you kind of have openness and you can just kind of play it forever, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Stardew Valley doesn't have like an end, right? Like you can just keep farming, or can you?
I've only played like 20 hours of Stardew, so I can't speak.
I've not.
And I think people replay it, right? Because they want a new farm. Like instead of having this type of farm, well, let's do this type of farm.
Yeah. So, I mean, however you do it, there's still a lot of stuff to do and a lot of options. So, and you can date all
Something
of the
that comes
people.
Close, though, is the Rune Factory games, where they also have that seasonality tied. Harvestella is like that, too, in a way.
Harvestella, Yeah, I would put Harvestella on my list, but like I said, I've only played it once, so I'm afraid that if I play it again and I don't like it as much, that will break my heart.
contested.
So, So I'm sure I'll still like it. I'm sure I'll still like it. But
you already know the story beats, though. I don't know if they'll have that same impact.
It may not.
Probably,
but that's
not.
okay. It's the same with anything like Chrono Trigger or Trails. Like you know what's coming. But there's something comforting about that too, right?
It's true.
You know what to expect, and but yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Stardew Valley seems like it'd be a fun one to just chill on a beach with. If I was,
I've never been a huge farming game kind of person, but if I'm stuck on a island and I'm forced to play it for many hours, then maybe I will become one. So it could be an incentive to be stuck on an island then. I mean, I wouldn't mind being stuck on an island right now, but
sounds great.
Yeah.
Babysitting an island sounds great right now.
I know. I feel like that's our next plan. I think that's.
Are there any gaming conventions like in the tropics right now that we could like quick get booked at? Let's Google that.
Sounds expensive.
Maybe they'll fly us out. No,
maybe they'll fly us out because we're so popular.
No, not yet. One day, guys. One day.
That's our goal.
So
they can fly us out to Hawaii or tropical island.
I just want to turn this podcast into the Adam Sandler podcast.
Yeah, the Adam Sandler of podcasts. We just go to cool places and work for a little while and then just get to enjoy it for free.
Oh my God.
Sounds nice.
That's too funny. But I think one of the games I was thinking as well is kind of like almost a limitless game. You can end it if you want, but you could keep playing it if you want as well, and replaying it and replaying it and replaying it. And that is Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Here we go. Yeah, that game. Oh man, that just took a hold of me when that came out. I was not prepared for how much time I put into that game. But it's just one of those games that, like, for me, it felt like you were playing a modern day, like Zelda, like from an NES Zelda. And I think because that, like, I know we have Breath of the Wild, but this one was even more so, I think, than Breath of the Wild in the sense of like the things you would find in the world were all just like little mini dungeons and little mini things that like you can just, and it's infinite. Like you just don't know. Like there's still things that are being found to this day, probably that people haven't either have found or haven't found that like exist in the world. And so like you could just explore and continue to explore for thousands of hours and still probably not see every interaction that you can probably see because like some things trigger differently or you have to do a certain way or like, you know, it's just so many different like aspects of playing that game that might trigger scenarios that most normal people won't see.
It's another one too where you have so much customizability in your build and how you play it. So, you know, that's, I mean, to be fair, I don't know if we want to get into the argument of JRPG as like what defines JRPG. Like there's people, there's people out there that, you know, would say a JRPG is an RPG made in Japan because J stands for Japanese. And I think that's silly. That's very silly to me because
it's a little bit of a naive way of thinking.
Because French toast, I made French toast in my American house last week, and it's still French toast. Like it's the style of toast that I made. But there's people that adamantly believe that, so they would, by their definition, they would say Elden Ring is a JRPG. Like I would look at it as a more of a Western style RPG developed in Japan. But I also lost like well over 100 hours in that game.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, it's like,
it sounds life-changing.
It's just like so cool. And it's hard to look at other games that try to do what it does because it's like, you can kind of see how they're trying to get there, but it's just so masterfully done. The exploration and how everything that you like, you'll go to you'll find a cave in the side of a mountain. You'll be like, oh, cool, a cave. And you'll go through the cave. And it, like you said, it's like its own mini dungeon. And so you're going through this cave, fighting bad guys. You get to a boss. You fight a boss. You beat it. Maybe it takes you a few tries. And then you get something. Like you get a reward for it. You know, you find a piece of gear. And the thing about it is it's always cool. You know, it's always cool, good stuff. And it may not be something you can even use with your character spec the way you are at that moment, but you can always respec your character and use it. So you're always getting cool and useful stuff.
Yeah.
And if
So
you're a lore
actually
hound,
has a real reward.
it's a
worth
real
getting.
reward. It's not just
Exactly.
like, yeah, gotcha points or whatever, like some games will give you a whole bunch of. But yeah, like it's an incredible. It's incredible.
I've been meaning to
I think
play
it's
it.
incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. I need to play it again.
I have access to it. It's on my shared Steam account.
Your Steam
Yeah.
account.
I've been eyeing it.
It's totally worth it. I mean, it's like one of those games, like if the hard part, like how difficult it is like the deciding factor of like, maybe I'm not ready to jump into it right away.
I wouldn't say it's that. For me, I don't like games that focus so much on boss fights. And that's been my impression of Elden Ring.
Elden
Where
Ring,
you're kind of training to beat a boss.
not necessarily. Actually, like
No? Okay.
I would say
Elden Ring
Elden
That's
Ring.
been my impression of all
Elden
those types of
Ring-
Souls-like games.
Yeah, like Elden Ring, I would
Souls
say is the
games,
least
yes.
so in the Soul series.
Okay.
Being that
so
way.
it sounds like the one for me to try first.
Like,
I think so.
Because I like more explorative elements like you guys were talking about
Yeah.
and, enhancing your build and things like that. I just don't find boss fights that rewarding. Maybe this is a controversial take we could talk about.
Okay.
yeah,
Maybe in the after show.
that could be a fun one. But like for this one specifically, I mean, it's a lot about like you're opening up the map. You're going into the little nooks and crannies. You're trying to find gear. You're trying to find things to help get your build
I
to
like
where
that.
you want it to be. There are battles that there are like little mini boss battles or boss battles or things like that you go do, and that's usually when you're trying to get like they're always
Elite
gonna
stuff.
they're gonna keep the best gear behind some sort of like challenge. And that's usually where it's at. But like getting to that point is a lot of exploration. It's a lot of like traveling. You're fighting little minions and things like that, and you're going through these areas. But
Yeah.
it's not primarily like where the Souls games are kind of like almost like you're pushing forward. You're trying to get to the next section, and you're trying to do the next thing, and you have to go past these specific bosses to do that. It's more tied to like almost like a boss rush of sorts, but it's not really a boss rush. But like,
Yeah.
it is like that for a lot. But this is more like Elden Ring. They took a whole different like mentality.
And they like you have all this exploration, and I would have been perfectly content if that was it. Like there was just this big open world, and you find like small caves and small fortresses to clear out and do whatever. But they go beyond that, and they're like, also there are giant dungeons like you would see in any Souls game. So when I first got to that castle after what's his name? The first like big boss that tends to stop people. You at home, I'm sure you're probably screaming it at the podcast player. Him.
It's been
once
a
you
while.
get past him, you get into that castle. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's a whole like this is like from any Souls game, like this big, giant, intricate dungeon with shortcuts and like wow, like they put a whole bunch of these also in the game. It covers every base.
Like
as far as
some of those dungeons are massive, like the size of a Souls game almost, like where you're going through it and you're just like, this is a game in itself. It is long. And it's just like, cause like there's like multiple maps and you don't realize how many areas that you can explore and how long it takes to explore each and every, it's hundreds and hundreds, if not like probably thousands of hours if you want to. If you want just going through different So I mean that's like one of the biggest things. I know we can take or leave it if we want to call this like a JRPG or not. I'm just calling it for the sake of the fact that like it does have RPG mechanics in the sense of like you do have stats go up, you fight, you gain experience, you are battling. It's an action RPG in that sense, and it is. I mean, for those who are sticklers on the whole Japanese thing, then it is technically made by a Japanese developer. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, granted, it is very Western styled in how it looks.
This is an Elden Ring podcast now, so we're switching gears. We were a JRPG podcast, and we were a Castaway podcast for a while. We're an Elden Ring podcast now. Yeah, I really like
Xenoblade 2 one.
Yeah.
your Xenoblade 2 podcast.
But primarily, we're always a Trails one.
primarily.
That's the core.
Yeah. No, Elden Ring is I mean, it was my game of the year it came out.
It's true. Yeah.
And it's incredible. Love it.
To make time for it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Emily, do you have another?
Another one?
I mean, how many have we gone through? I don't remember.
I feel like I've gone through quite a number.
I've gone through mine,
and like for me, as I mentioned before, I do like new experiences rather than replaying games. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty content with my Xenoblade Chronicles 2 pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if we want to go with, something that's technically not a JRPG, not even an RPG, Breath of the Wild would be another pick for me. I just really loved exploring that world.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Doing all the little things.
It's a great game.
Oh, that reminded me. One thing that I'll say about, excuse me, Breath of the Wild versus Elden Ring, because a lot of people that compare those two games. I found Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom harder than Elden Ring from a challenging combat standpoint. Do with that as you will. I don't know. Like, I just say that because a lot of people are like, I want to play Elden Ring, but I'm scared it's too hard. It's like, did you play Breath of the Wild? If so, I think you'll be okay because I found Breath of the Wild significantly harder than Elden Ring.
That's true. I did get my butt kicked up quite a few times in Breath of the Wild.
And especially Tears of the Kingdom.
I just didn't go over to the big monsters. Every once in a while I did it, but
yeah.
And then of course to beat it, like I did what you're supposed to do. But
also, I feel like Breath of the Wild did not give me incentive to fight a lot of monsters.
No.
Usually,
why would you waste your inventory and weapons?
I was always worried. I'm like,
things?
I need to use that for the main dungeons that I need to get through.
My precious arrows.
Exactly. So I guess I did have one last game. I guess I didn't talk about, and it would be I don't know if I can't end the podcast without mentioning this game. For those who know me. And know Branden as well. And that is XENOGEARS. XENOGEARS. There it is. That is. There's not much else we need to say about that because everyone knows how we feel about XENOGEARS. But honestly, it is just pure, utter nostalgia. It's just the ability to play through a story. Like it's just reading. It's like rereading a good book. Like you're it's just the experience of every once in a while you just need to refresh yourself and just read through it and just enjoy that world again and enjoy that storyline. And XENOGEARS is like that, but with being able to play it. And it's a game that I consistently replay as much as I can. Anyways, so I wouldn't want to stop that if I was stuck on a desert island or if I was babysitting a desert island.
Yeah. Takahashi in particular, you know, this is the case with the Xenoblade games as well. When I replay XENOGEARS, when I replayed it the most recent time, a couple of years ago, I was getting new things out of the story that I had never noticed before. And I've replayed it many times. So I love games like that where there's a richness to the story and to the characters. And also it's written by somebody in a particular moment of their lives. Mm-hmm. And as my life changes, as I get older, as different things happen to me, I'm able to, get something else out of the story. And that's something that's
a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm. And that experience isn't necessarily unique to video games. You can get that from, like you said, books, movies, TV shows, whatever. But it feels more meaningful to me when it's in a game because you are an active participant in the story, right? So replaying XENOGEARS is something I try to do when I can as well. I'm going to be replaying it here because I want to do that video that I've talked about. And mostly because I need footage. I just need as much footage of it as I can get. But also, I might as well take the excuse to...
Any excuse to replay
play your favorite.
is an excuse to me.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a game that just, like you said, you get something out of it every time. And, like I said, with all the other games that we talked about, the soundtrack itself, I just sit back and listen to that. It just hits such a nostalgia key, especially the
I
Xenogears
do,
one.
yeah. I do just sit back and listen to it. Like,
It's like one of those. It's definitely one of those soundtracks that just I will constantly re-listen to.
yeah.
I think that's what's the beauty of, video games. It's just more than just playing the game itself. There's so many other mediums we can enjoy from video games that constantly remind us of the feelings we had when we were playing them. So the music, collecting.
Yes.
All the different things.
It does a really good job, this especially with Xenogears, that like the specific I guess songs choices and how they play with like what is happening in this different scenes. Like if you're listening to the soundtrack outside of the game, you really kind of envision those scenes as you hear it. It does a really good job of like just creating that, like
evoking those memories.
Yeah, evoking the memories. That's exactly. So that's it. Xenogears.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
we
all
have our Desert Island games, I think.
Yeah.
If anybody has a desert island that they need a caretaker for, and so long as the caretaking of the island is not
too
that involved,
if we
babysitting.
If we can, like, if you just need somebody to kind of be around,
sit and like look at it, I'm good at that.
Yeah, we are available for that. So
let us know. Hit us up on the in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah,
shoot us an email, JRPG Pursuit at gmail.com.
Yeah, we would love to babysit your island. Just really anytime, but especially right now, it would be great. Thank you.
But we're not super picky, so like whenever is good,
that's fine.
We'll take it.
And for our listeners, we'd love to hear what games you would bring with you, and also which games you think have the most replayability to them, and what sort of aspects of replayability do you look for when choosing one?
Is it the routes? Is it the big open world? What is it that is appealing to you?
Yeah.
So, we did it. We pulled that topic off. What else is going on with you guys? You playing anything? You buying anything?
Yeah.
Well, I have one thing to share that I feel silly buying, but
let's see it.
It's necessary.
Go ahead, Emily.
We got
all right. Now
Trails
I have a question because I feel
two.
like the audience needs to hear this. So, like, this is what number purchase of Trails 1 and 2 is this for you?
Technically, the fourth time I bought it.
Okay,
so I own the Steelbook version that came in the. It's not the limited edition. It was like the special repackaged edition for the PS4 originally through Xseed.
Yeah.
The box.
That didn't include the standard case. So then I went and rebought the PEGI version, because they were at the time the only ones that offered the standard case for Cold Steel 1 and 2.
Interesting. Okay.
And I also before had the PS Vita versions that I sold because I just wanted to upgrade to the PS4, which runs better, frankly, and it's a better experience to play those games.
Yeah.
And I kind of regret that. But now I have my third copies.
You got the NTSC, right? They're NTSC, right? Yeah, the regular standard case.
So they're technically reprints because they reprinted these discs since this was long out of stock once the Steelbook versions were gone here in North America.
Yeah.
But Video Games Plus proposed to Xseed, I guess, to reissue these games in a new standard case. And they actually have different cover art. I have the PEGI versions right here than what they were originally released in. So at least they look different.
Yeah. Or I'm wondering,
and then I have my Steelbook cases here.
Do we know if it's reversible cover art on the new
I do have
edition?
The new editions, yes, but I haven't opened them.
Okay.
Because I don't need to play them yet, but I'll open the first one for you guys.
Oh,
okay, cool. We get an unboxing. This is like kind of ASMR.
It's all for you guys.
By the microphone.
Oh, here's the crinkly.
There's that good ASMR stuff that you guys are here for.
Yeah.
Has the new game smell? Oh, interesting. Ooh. So it has a little. We actually have
it has a
booklet inside. Okay. Actually has. It's not just for art. You have things about the combat and stuff.
Is it a color?
So it's an actual
booklet too on the inside?
There's some color. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, you usually don't get that.
It's mostly text in here, but there are some photos with color.
Yeah, it's awesome though.
And then this is what the disc looks like. Oh, if I can lift it.
Yeah.
Ooh,
okay.
Very
But
nice.
inside is just the images that were on the steelbooks. So.
Okay, yeah. All right.
But it's different from the reverse cover art in the Peggy versions.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I still don't know if I should keep all these.
I think it's justified. I
Trying
think
to be a curated collector, you know?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
just justified it by showing that it's different.
Yeah.
Watch them come out Switch versions. Does that mean I need to buy those too? I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Where does it stop?
It doesn't.
Emily.
It doesn't stop. That's the whole point.
Switch 2 versions. What happens if they come out with PS5 versions?
Yeah, they may do
Ooh, that would be nice.
I'll get them.
If they did come out with the PS5 versions, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think when this podcast airs, I have a video coming out about this topic, about reprints and reissues.
Interesting.
And the problems with them, even though it's great to have accessibility to modern titles and not have to pay scalper prices, but I think there's some other issues that haven't been as vocalized, at least on YouTube yet, on this topic.
Interesting.
I'll be looking forward to seeing
that. I know. I'm still waiting for that Ryza 2.
Yeah.
It's supposed to happen one of these days.
VGP said it's coming.
Yeah. So who knows?
For the PS4.
All right.
More reprints.
So the one game I picked up this week in my plague-stricken stupor.
Can I guess?
What is it?
Was it Bubsy 2?
I bought another copy of Bubsy 2. Because I forgot that we bought in my sickness. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I felt the need for Bubsy 2, and I forgot I had this. No.
No,
We've gone through that already.
Okay.
I'm a man who owns Bubsy 2, and we're good.
Well, no, wait. Didn't we buy Bubsy? Wasn't it just the original Bubsy we bought together?
Oh,
I thought
it
that
was
was the
no.
one with
Yeah,
the
you're
case.
right. Oh man, that's how.
Okay. He's sick,
Okay.
guys. Give him a
All
break.
right, guys.
Give him a break.
I don't know.
Lay off of him.
I'm actually gonna right after this in the after show. I will look it up and I'll buy Bubsy 2
We're gonna get
during the
Bubsy
after
2.
show. So stick around.
Join us
in the after show, and you can watch me probably spend too much money on something I don't probably
Be
need.
responsible with his money.
Actually, I don't know how much
can't wait.
Bubsy 2 is going for, like, complete. So
If there's a God in heaven, it's nothing. There's no reason.
You know that's not going to be true. Anyways.
High prices don't always dictate quality, right?
No, God,
true.
no. It's
very
like I've paid way too much money for very bad games before, too.
I have done the same. Sorry, Dalla, but I derailed you with my stupid joke. What's the actual game you got?
I picked up a bit of a, I don't know, I guess maybe slightly controversial game that's been around, I guess. I don't know, but I've heard good things about it. But that is Dragon Age, the Veilguard.
Yes.
And, I enjoy the old Dragon Age games. And I remember when they first announced this game, the first trailer was really bad. Like, it was tone deaf to what I think a lot of people were looking for in a Dragon Age game. But they used really I don't know, I forgot, they had a music track to the back of it that just set the mood in a bad way. And I remember everyone was just like, no, this is bad. And then they the next trailer was like, oh wait, but this is an actually good trailer. And so the more trailers I saw, I was like, all right, this is actually looking kind of cool. I like the art direction. BioWare is a little iffy, but we'll see. I'll see how the reviews go. And I think the reviews were more or less pretty positive outside of some spaces where people had some issues with this, which I'm not going to get into that.
And without getting into the specifics of what people get upset about with that game and other games, I feel like people are just too sensitive. Quit being so sensitive about just chill out. Everything, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's okay.
If you don't want it,
fine.
If you don't want to play it, fine. Don't buy it.
Right.
Exactly. No one's forcing it. No one's putting a gun putting a gun to your head.
Right.
Just use your wallet to, dictate games that you want. That's all you can do. You don't need to make an uproar about everything.
No one needs to be that offended that a game exists.
Let
it's
free
fair for
markets
somebody.
do their thing.
Yeah, there's plenty of games that I don't care about. Like,
right, and I just don't buy those games.
but
I
I
don't
just don't buy 'em,
pitch a
and I
fit
just-
about them on the internet.
I don't cry about them either. So like, I'm just like, whatever. They exist for somebody out there, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna play it. Like I talk about farm games. I'm not
Not for you.
not for me. I'm not gonna be buying a ton of farm games, except maybe
Harvestella didn't convert you?
to Harvestella, only because there's a little bit of farming.
It was a
The
small
only
amount.
only other game that I might change my tune with is the new
Guardians of Ozma.
yeah, that like
Mhm.
You're in
the vibe of it and the look
does
of
look
it.
cool.
It does.
I hope
It's
it's good.
tempting. But so this game, it was on sale like at GameStop for like $24, and so I was like, I'll give it a shot. You know, I want to try it out and see how it is. So pick that up. During my sickness, though, I didn't really play a lot of games. I was just too tired, so I got like heavy into watching TV again, which I haven't done in a while. But I did recently start playing Pixel Remasters.
Yeah.
I started up Final Fantasy 1, and I might start slowly going through. This might be the start of my Final Fantasy replays.
This
where
is
I'm
your
gonna
Final Fantasy replay era. Okay.
era. I don't know how long it's going to take because I'll probably just like
Forget the Atelier games. Just play. What's where you play Final Fantasy?
no.
The year of Atelier is
No,
not happening.
that's still
on hold.
happening. That is definitely happening. Come March, I have it. It's already pre-ordered. Atelier Yumiya. I am jumping straight into that, and then most likely
and
jumping.
then leaving it when X comes out for Xenoblade.
And then when what's it called Claire
The day
Obscure comes out.
You should be able to get through. The Atelier games aren't like 1,000-hour games,
No,
right?
they're like
they're
30-ish, 40
they're,
hours.
they're like a
The
defined
more recent
story.
ones take you at least 60 hours.
Do they?
Mm.
But I
Yeah.
mean, they're not like open-ended games where you just keep playing them. Like there's a story and you finish it.
Yeah, you
there's
finish
a
it.
story.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
So
the
it's
beginning
not-
of this
yeah.
year is going to be rough, though, like in general, because between like
It
what
is.
came out with the Xbox showcase in terms of like Claire, because like
Claire Obscure. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to want like Claire Obscure right away. I think like I just need
I
to
have
get.
a feeling that's going to be a shorter game.
It's true. I think
I'm guessing.
They said it's 25 hours.
Oh, they did say okay.
Yeah,
That
which
was
is
what I
not
was
bad.
guessing, so.
That's why the price is a little bit cheaper than most new games.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that's good at least. But yeah,
They've
like,
already
it's-
signed a contract though for a movie deal.
Yeah,
That's
It's
feels a
crazy.
little
They have so
hubristic
much.
to me, but okay.
I know.
they got
I mean,
that.
it does look very cool. Like if somebody said
Well,
this is the
preemptive there.
premise of a movie, I'd be like, that's a cool premise for a movie. So
That's what happened when
You know.
when Daddy Microsoft gives you money.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Make it
it's,
rain. I hope it
does
it's
well.
fine. It's
Truly, I
fine.
do.
So-
No, honestly,
I
I
really
hope
do.
it really does well. I hope it does well enough that they keep making, and it also shows the industry that like JRPG style games are
Turn-based is not dead.
turn-based is not dead. That you can still
We showed that
make
with Baldur's Gate 3.
like you can still make
So
like
now we'll do it with this one.
an incredible game like this that gets this much hype from the industry in general. And I hope that teaches Square Enix a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, that's all I've been doing. Been kind of just playing some Final Fantasy 1, grinding the heck out of that game while watching Monk. And that's about it.
Yep. American pastime.
American pastime.
Grinding JRPGs and watching Monk. I get that.
Think of no better combination.
Nope.
Yes. So I can't share anything. I can't contract.
All right, that's it. That's all, folks. Thank you for
That's all.
joining us.
We want to hear from Brandon.
I have nothing I can say about what I'm playing or what I've bought. So
Well, you could just say what you're looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to Trails Through Daybreak 2. That
Same,
comes
same.
out in
Oh.
like not quite 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks from when we're recording.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hopefully it gets delivered.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
hoping the
yeah, I'm
delivery
hoping
is
that
not
nothing-
like a week late.
Nothing gets delayed in the mail like I've been having problems with lately.
Yeah, the mail's been slow, and I feel like we're going to have more issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not,
For reasons.
Not thrilled. Yeah, for,
For
reasons. I'm not
reasons.
thrilled about that myself. Yeah. Anyway, well, maybe I'll share more about some of that stuff in the after show.
So stick around for the after show where
Yeah.
Brandon lets it all hang loose.
Yeah.
Literally.
Guys, we want people to want to watch the after show. Okay, let's not scare them off. Okay. Anyway, thank you all. Thank you all for listening, watching, however you're consuming the JRPG Pursuit. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
Again, if you would consider becoming a member on YouTube, that's amazing. There's also Spotify memberships, so you can get access to the after show that way.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that Apple Podcast, you needed to do that separately. Sorry, I'm working on getting the Apple Podcast memberships up as well, because there's a sizable number of you that listen on the Apple Podcast. Maybe you want to be a member as well. So I'm working on that. That will be soon. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
And until next week.
Bye.
Bye.